Hello and Happy New Year. Welcome to my first episode of 2026. So we're going to go straight into looking at vehicle registration data from SMMT because they launched all their data this morning on the 6th of January. And so we're going to dive into that because there's some really big stats in there actually. So one of the biggest changes I've seen on here actually was with electric vehicles. So in December 2025, market share of electric vehicles captured 32.2% of the market, which is huge. That's nearly a third of the market, but that's just for that 1 month. Looking at the whole year, let me just get that figure up. So looking at the whole year, electric vehicles captured 23.4% of the entire market. Now, the ZEV mandate is 28%, but there are flexibilities in that which manufacturers had negotiated with government in order to bring that arbitrary 28% figure down. So they are committed to reducing their emissions. So there are various flexibilities that they can invoke throughout of the year where they don't actually have to meet that 28% target, provided that they have met some emissions targets. But we won't find out what the exact figure is for that for a little while yet, because this is just fresh SMMT data and the government's got to do its analysis as well. Last year it was I can't remember what the exact figure was. It's supposed to meet like 23% and it was 18, but with all the flexibilities in there they actually managed to sell exactly what was required to meet the ZEV mandate. And so I think it'll be the same this year as well. So the 23% or 23.4% might seem like it's not met that ZEV mandate, but with all the flexibilities added in, it invariably would have done. So, what is the point of a ZEV mandate if they've got these flexibilities? Well, it's just it's a little pressure valve for the industry, so to kind of warm into selling more EVs and selling lower emission vehicles. So, it's a little bit of give and take there, I think, with the government. And they'd negotiated in more flexibilities earlier this year. So, there's a bit more leeway there. Anyway, so I'm not concerned about that. The petrol sales was the other astonishing figure because the capture of market share in December for petrol vehicles had fallen sharply to 39.4%. Diesels have collapsed to 4.2%. So between diesel and petrol, there, in December there was well under 50%, well under half the market share. So there is a shift there towards electrification. Plug-in hybrids are at 11.6%. Hybrid electric vehicles are at 12.6%, with battery electric at 32%. So the figures for December are a significant shift into electrification, more so with battery electric cars than with the plug-in hybrids and hybrids. But the real shocker was petrol. People are falling out of love with petrol and going for one of the other options. I mean, diesel is long gone, really. I mean, it's such a small market share at 4.2%. And when you compare to the previous year, December the previous year, these are big adjustments that are going on. So when we look at let's have a look at that. So what's actually shifting here? So if we look at the year-on-year stats, so this does a comparison of like the whole year versus this year, 2025, sorry, just gone, versus 2024. And so there's a 3.5% change in the number of vehicles registered this year versus 2024. So things are looking up a little bit, I think, in 2025 versus the previous year, but only a little bit. But it's good to see the numbers going up rather than down. But again, when you look at where battery electric cars were last year, it had 19.5% market share in 2024. This year, 23.4% market share. So, it's gone up 24% from year to year. Hybrids have gone up 7.2%. Plug-in hybrids have gone up 34.7%. So their market share is at 11.4%, or 11.14% this year, and last year it was 8.56%. So plug-in hybrids are doing really well. And I think what we've seen over 2025 is a flurry of really long-range plug-in hybrids. I mean, you're talking like some of the Chinese brands like the JQ and the Cherries that can hit 900 miles on a charge and a tank of petrol. It's just extraordinary. Some of these plug-in hybrids have got over 90 miles of electric range. It's more than the original Nissan Leaf. So that kind of gives you an example of how quickly that market has developed as well. But I think with the petrol market share, it had 52.2% of the market in 2024. Now in 2025, it had 46.4% of the market. Diesel went from 6.3 market share down to 5.14. So when you look at 2024, you're looking at 58.5% market share, and that's fallen between those two fuel types, the petrol and the diesel, and that's now fallen to just over 51%. So astonishing moves there for all of those. All I'm seeing is battery electric cars, hybrid cars, plug-in hybrid cars. The numbers are going up, and petrol and diesel, they're going down. It's as simple as that. And I think with diesel have collapsed, but we've seen the rise of hybrids and plug-in hybrids. So I think when it comes to vehicles that can tow, for example, plug-in hybrids are perhaps more capable now than maybe a pure electric car because of that massive range. So you've got like a tank of diesel range available in a plug-in hybrid. But then we're seeing some really exciting moves in battery electric vehicles over the last year. So, one of the biggest things was some new cars coming out with enormous ranges. So Tesla did a very light refresh of the Model 3, for example. So my one, which I bought at the end of December 2024, has been refreshed. So it's got a new battery in it. And a few other new features in it that mine doesn't have. And like the long range rear wheel drive is capable of 466 miles of WLTP range now. But when you look at cars coming out from, say, Mercedes with the new CLA, there's a version of that that will do 484 miles of range on a charge. And then BMW announcing its iX3, and the long range one of that was 500 miles. And the i3 is supposed to be 500 miles plus of range as well. So it's astonishing that you're seeing some cars with enormous range on them that are coming out now. And I think for some people that will appeal, especially if they're doing a lot of miles in the day and they got a lot of capacity in the tank there, they don't have to keep stopping. Obviously they will need to stop for a break at some point, but and charging the car in that break time, it won't take long at all. So I think there's a lot more appeal coming, but also on the lower end of EVs, we've seen some moves into the small vehicle world now. So Hyundai Insta is like a small car. It's a TARDIS inside those. Literally, you sit in the back seats. It's enormous, and you can get some great deals on these. You've got the BYD Dolphin Surf. There's amazing deals. These cars you can buy under 20 grand brand new. And then, the brilliant Renault 5 came out. What a fantastic car that is. Absolutely love that. It looks amazing. And then coming into 2026, you've got more smaller cars coming out. You've got the small Nissan that used to be the Pixo petrol car. I don't know what it's going to be called. That's supposed to be coming out. That's based on the new Renault Twingo platform. Which is also coming out. The VW ID Polo is coming out. So there's some really exciting things. All the Peugeot E208 GTI is coming out as well. I mean, you've got some amazing cars to look forward to. So I think there's going to be some really big shifts going on with cars. You can't buy a Fiesta anymore. I don't know what's happening with Ford. You can't buy a Fiesta, you can't buy a Ka, you can't buy a Focus, you can't buy a Mondeo. This was the bread and butter of Ford, and I think all these other manufacturers are just going to wipe out Ford with some brilliant products. I know that Ford are going to come back with a Fiesta based on the Renault 5 at some point, so I don't know how they're going to do that, when it's going to be launched, or what it's even going to be like, but something to look forward to from Ford at least. So, last year's been incredible, really. Some really big shifts in the market. People are buying cars, which is great to see. I know a lot of people will be saying that, dealers have pre-registered them and there's incentives on electric vehicles, etc., etc. Well, yeah, there is. Go and buy them. Take advantage of them while you can, because they're not, those deals aren't going to last forever. But absolutely, I see a lot of absolutely incredible deals on EVs. And I do nosy on into other fuel types as well. I don't put that data out because other people put that data out. Like Jim Starlin might talk about some great deals. So go watch Definitely Not a Guru on YouTube. And he talks about, all the deals for all the cars of that week, I suppose. Lease deals as well. So, I don't want to get down into I want to concentrate on EVs because that's my passion. But just look around. Absolutely astonishing deals to be had on all fuel types, and in specifically with electric vehicles. So, I think 2026 is going to be a big year. We're going to see some big shifts going on with these fuel types. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this year is going to play out. Anyway, that was it. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. Bye.